I don't have anything off the top of my head for the video exclusivity section.
Hmm.
Hmm. Just nothing. Man, I'm the worst.
JJ is totally volunteering to do something, but I don't know what it is. She chose that moment to stick her nose right up against the camera, so
D-
you are not video exclusive.
well, it's a shame
I
that we
don't
don't
know.
have cameras because people love aminals.
People do love animals.
Huh. All right then. Well, that's probably good enough. Sorry, video people. It's all kind of slapdash this week. That's what happens when I slap Mike and then dash away before he can slap me back.
Dash away,
Speaking,
dash away, dash away.
Not that I need to. I'm pretty sure if I slap Mike, he would just be standing there going, "Why? What's wrong
What
with you?"
happened?
Brian, on the other hand, you slap Brian, he's gonna punch you in the face.
I do kind of have that knee-jerk reaction, yes.
I mean, if you slap Dirk, Dirk will hunt you to the ends of the earth.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wait, no, that's in
It's
Magic.
true.
And everything.
Dirk is the unkillable snail.
Mm-hmm.
All right then, so let's start.
Sounds good.
Ow, jam! Hello everyone and welcome to the Manapool. This is, as far as I'm aware, episode 754 of the Manapool, and I'm pretty sure that's right. Pretty sure.
Probably.
I forgot who I was for a minute. I'm Mike, the rules guy in the game. No, wait. Who are these guys? Oh, wait, they're on the screen. Okay, I'm not Mike. My beard isn't that glorious. I'm not Brian because I don't have that maniacal thing going on, and I don't have kids, so I'm not Dirk. So I must be Chewy.
I think you are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. Which means
Ah,
there's other people here that aren't me.
I've got to be Brian because I'm the only one without any facial hair.
Oh, yeah.
Sam Sam found a picture on Facebook of us at AJ's wedding years ago,
Uh-huh.
and not Dirk, Mike didn't have his beard, and she's like, "Who's that?" I kid you not. She was like, "Who is that?" And I'm like, "That's Mike," and she's like, "No," and then she looked at it and she's like, "He looks so weird." So
I
I don't
don't.
have facial hair, so
Yeah, I think.
what?
Let's see. I'm thinking about stuff, and yeah, I don't think in her lifetime she's seen me like that.
I
Till
mean, that
now.
was the last time you were beardless, right?
Yeah, yeah, because I started like I grew back permanently. I started growing back permanently, what turned out to be permanently, right before I came back up to North Carolina. And AJ's wedding was like I came up from Georgia for a few days for that. Yeah.
Trippy. Hey, Dirk's here too.
Yes, I'm Dirk, the self-proclaimed greenest man alive and mortal compass of the group. And I'm pretty sure I am who I am because I'm the bald one in the group. Brian's
yes,
trying
you are.
really hard, but
Yes,
he
you
hasn't
are.
fully gone bald like I have.
I am not as tall as Dirk, but I am bald.
Yeah, Brian is the tall bald one. That's how you know which lawyer he is.
Yeah. There was a while I was
Doesn't matter.
out of town.
So
Yep. that was an inside joke. Ha 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 ha.
So let's get to it. So last week we did what I named the Tonberry effect, where you meet an enemy that's cute or small or seemingly not gonna be a problem, who then proceeds to wreck your entire face. Yep. And originally we were gonna cover both sides of that coin last week, but as is frequently the case, we ran out of time. So this week I finally found a good example. It's not from video games though, unfortunately, but the example I think that everyone would know is in Raiders of the Lost Ark. In an extended action scene, a whole lot of stuff going on, a dude with a big sword shows up and does his ha 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 thing with the sword and is like, "We fight now!" And Indiana Jones goes and pulls out a gun and shoots him. So he's set up to be like, "Oh, this is gonna be awesome." Oh, he shot him. And it's funny.
Street clears, the people part, and he's like, I think he's laughing maniacally and tossing the scimitar around. I heard, and I don't know if it's an urban legend, but I heard that there actually was a choreographed fight scene, and that Harrison
had dysentery.
Had dysentery.
He was ill.
Yeah, like everybody had dysentery.
And just said, "Screw it," and pulled out the gun, and they added the sound effect later, and the actor playing the swordsman rolled with it, and it was like, "Oh," and everybody else was like, "Okay, cool, wah!" So you've heard that too. I wonder if that's fact. I don't know if there's a way to.
Well, I didn't hear that it was improvised on the spot. I heard that they changed it because people were ill.
Yeah, the version of events that Brian just told is apocryphal, but what actually happened was, I think it was Harrison Ford who was like, "Do we really have to do this? Can't I just like shoot him?" And Spielberg went, "Actually,
Sure, let's take a take."
That could be really funny."
So I know last week we talked about like why this is done, what is the effect of doing this, and it's interesting that they may have decided to do this due to health concerns for the actors, but it ended up being very humorous, just like because you're
Very
expecting
iconic.
this big thing, and then you're like, what? And then you're like, you know what? This takes place in maybe not modern day, but in the 20th century. People have guns. So, it works. I do remember being a kid and being like, "Aw," but, still, it works.
So that's I think the touchstone example, but he didn't have a name, so you can't really call it, the sword guy in Raiders that Indy shoots effect. So we just named it the inverse Tonberry effect until we could come up with that like iconic example of it. And for those of you watching the video version, you'll see that the background is still a Tonberry, but it's been color inverted and then value inverted to this nightmare, freaking horrifying version of a Tonberry.
Actually really like it. It's probably gonna haunt my dreams now. But...
Yeah, it's gonna haunt mine. So let's get into it, I guess.
Yeah. So when Chewie gave us that example, I was immediately like, "That's great," in my mind, which I had been struggling for a little bit because I think there's more examples of Tonberries than anti-Tonberries in video games. They still exist, and we'll get to them. But when he said that, I was like, "Can we do that?" Because my mind went to like 2 or 3 immediately. So I'm gonna name one here that I think people will agree with me. This is a character that was built up over two films in a series. I'll give you a hint. It was Star Wars, and was like, oh, that better watch out.
Oh.
Huge imposing figure manipulating
Uh-huh.
things from the shadows. This is
With
gonna
a
be
really stupid
crazy
name.
and epic, and then cut down by a lightsaber in 2 seconds. Supreme Leader Snoke. That is what everybody was thinking about, right? Or what? I guess you could also
Yeah.
do Boba Fett, because Boba Fett also built up and then like taken out by a blind guy by accident. But Supreme Leader Snoke, for those that we're definitely past, like the last one of those films was in 2019. In episode 7 was built up as the guy behind the scenes. He was the leader of the First Order, and basically the new emperor sort of thing. And you only see him through these holograms, and the holograms make him look huge. He's this uh, dark dark side powerful user. He's apparently the one that convinced Kylo Ren, also known as Ben Skywalker, the actual child
You
of
want to try that
a
again?
Ben Solo.
There you go.
Thank you. Uh, Powerful Force user, and he manages to turn him to the dark side. And then uh, in the next film, The Last Jedi, we see him in person, and he berates Kylo Ren for he's like, "You're weak, and you can't really handle this. You're so obsessed with following your grandfather's example, but you're really not that tough." And then Rey comes before him, and he throws her around using the Force just like a rag doll. And then in a single moment, Kylo Ren manages to ignite a lightsaber right next to him and cut him in half. I don't hate the scene, and I don't hate what it does for the character, because you have this arc where, again, he underestimated Kylo Ren. He misinterpreted what the Force was telling him. The Force was telling him, "Hey, Kylo Ren is aiming the lightsaber at his true enemy." It was built up. I don't mind it, but for the character, again, mysterious character, very built up, and then does not get a lightsaber battle, does not get a force abilities battle. He is taken out by his acolyte. I don't hate it, but for what we're talking about, I think he fits this trope. Do you guys agree or disagree?
That's way
Yes, I
better than your
agree.
mother brain example. Yeah.
Yeah, he just
I
kind of
thought you
ends up
might
being
like
a
it better.
chump.
Yeah. He
Yeah,
gets a little further
because
downgraded in. Go
as
ahead.
far as the story that movie was trying to tell, he was completely pointless, and I love that it just treats him as such. Like, yeah, you're there, you're bad, whatever. This isn't about you. And then he's dead. You're like, okay.
Yeah.
Then you have the real boss fight with all of his guards and whatnot, and then the thing there after that with Ray and Kylo, and it would, yeah.
Which I do like that scene again, because they've just fought together and the audience is going, okay, they see eye to eye, and Kylo's first reaction is, we can be in charge now. And Rey is like, you totally missed the point of what we were just doing. So they still had the differences in ideology. It was not a, we're best friends now, let's make out, or whatever friends do. I don't know. I don't have friends I don't make out with.
I would say
Kidding,
like
kidding.
we used to do in college all the time, right?
Exactly. Or last week. Um,
Or
but
whatever. I wasn't gonna bring that up, but okay.
what are you doing? Yeah. Um, but he is built up, and then this. I mean, a lot of people did not care for the Last Jedi, but Ryan, what's his last name? Ryan Johnson.
There you go.
Yes.
Yep.
Really did a very good job of subverting some of the established tropes for the last 8 movies, but still putting out a good Star Wars movie. And a lot of it was this, oh, you think you're on top of stuff, or you think this is what matters. No, and here's kind of why you're wrong. But but I guess some people just wanted to see Luke Skywalker kick some ass, so they were a little disappointed, and I get that. But Snoke definitely fits the bill. I think just I mentioned Boba Fett in the original trilogy. Fans loved him because he wasn't in the first one, right? But he was
No.
in The Empire Strikes Back,
Hmm.
and all fans had to go on was here's a guy says like 3 lines, like I wanted to disintegrate him. No, okay. And he's in cool armor, and then he takes off with Han Solo. And people are like, oh, this crazy guy, what's he about? And then in Return of the Jedi, he's in Boba Fett's palace, and you're like, oh, there's that guy, I know him. And then at at the battle, uh, Han Solo
Jabba's
is like
Skiffed,
Jabba's skiff.
or the Battle
Uh,
of the Sarlacc pit.
yeah, thank you. Han Solo was like, Boba Fett, where's Boba Fett? And he like
Where?
turns around and and pokes the jetpack with his stick, and the jetpack goes off. He hits the side of the skiff and rolls into the Sarlacc pit. And he has a continued story if you want to follow the Book of Boba Fett. That
Also
is
known
totally up
as
to
The
you.
Mandalorian Season 2.5.
Yes.
Yeah. Boba Fett definitely falls into that as well. So one that was mentioned in the Discord, which I figured was one that came to your mind, but maybe not, was Captain Marvel. Well, in the movie.
Oh, that's
Oh.
a good one.
Yeah,
That's
in the movie,
if
Captain Marvel, Jan Rog, played by what's his name?
Jude
Jude
Law?
Law.
Yeah.
Is, her commanding officer or whatever, old boyfriend. I don't know. It's been
Commanding
a while since
officer.
I saw it.
Commanding officer and kind of mentor since she lost her memory. He was basically the one that was building her up and telling her, "You can do all this stuff. I believe in you." Da da da. But still gaslighting her at the same time.
Yeah, and then at the end, after she's already wrecked all of his plans and whatnot, he's like, "But you won't be good until you and I fair fight right now. None of your fancy energy blasts, hand to hand." And then she just zaps him real hard, and he flies off and slams into the side of a mountain.
Yes.
And that's the end of him.
Yeah. The movie had done a good job of building him up. I think he kills a Kree at one point. You can tell he's dangerous. He knows what he's doing. Nobody understands why he's not blue like the rest of the Kree. I don't know if he's supposed to show that, hey, Kree come in all, you know, colors, whatever. But he comes across as very deadly, very efficient, and very manipulative. And it builds up this confrontation. And then he's just taken out. And again, like Snoke, I actually like this decision because she has nothing to prove to him. He is trying to get her on his level because he knows he can't take her. And he's trying to play toward that whole I took care of you. I donated the blood that's helped save your life. And did it aren't, you have to overcome me. He's even applauding her. He's like, yes, you've come so far. This is your final challenge. And she's like, I literally don't need your validation. So she didn't kill him, but we haven't seen him again.
Yeah, I'm sure Jude Law has
So yeah,
better things to do than
I
more
liked
Marvel
him
movies.
in Road to Perdition, but with Tom Hanks and that one guy. Yeah.
Well, the ultimate, all mine are video games.
Okay.
Mine
The
too.
ultimate example of this has to be from Final Fantasy VII.
Really?
Huh, not the one I was thinking.
The ultimate version is from Final Fantasy VII. The Sephiroth at the very end, like when you've beaten Safer Sephiroth, and then you Cloud sort of going through the tunnel, and then he meets Sephiroth at the very bottom. And in that, if I'm not mistaken, if you were to look at Sephiroth's stats, he literally only has 1 hit point.
He only has 1 hit point.
And Cloud is unable to not do the Omni Slash.
You're correct. If the limit gauge fills in the opening cinematic so that he can use it immediately, he can use it before Sephiroth goes, even if you did not learn the technique in the regular game. And because the game wants to end with this, if you do nothing and Sephiroth attacks you, you immediately counterattack with Omni Slash. So you don't have to do it. The game really wants you to be like, this is how you're ending it. And if you're just like, I wonder what happens if I let him win, you can't.
I mean, at that point, you've already beaten the hard part. This is just wrapping up the Cloud and Sephiroth direct storyline thing.
It's just a story beat.
Yeah.
I see where you're coming from, Dark, but it's not really a boss.
I mean,
but
I think this probably fits because you might expect after you beat the big cosmic form, now you've got this. Oh, now it's mono a mono, and the game doesn't want you to beat him by like kicking him in the shin and him falling down crying like Peter Griffin.
You've fought all these Sephiroths along the way. You just keep, and they're always like, "Oh my gosh, it's another one! Oh my gosh, what do I gotta do?" And then to just have this, well, that was awesome, but also a little anticlimactic.
I do like what Chewie said about not finishing him by kicking him in the knee, like Tifa just running up and doing like a dolphin blow or something. I'm kind of imagining, like you finally beat like Shao Kahn in Mortal Kombat, and it goes to finish him, and you're like, I'm gonna do this, and then you like low punch, and you're like, you win, and you're like, yeah, yay! I wanted to rip his skull out, but I guess I hit him in the tummy, so it's okay. They don't want that energy. I can agree with it.
Way back a long time ago, Squanto and I had a running joke of if he was ever a wrestler, his finisher would be the toe kick of doom. Like, how Stone Cold would always do the kick to the stomach and then do the stunner?
Mm-hmm.
What if it was just the kick to the stomach? And like,
see that.
It's like boop crumple.
Like at his wedding, like during all the bridal pictures and whatnot, we got a picture of him giving me, both of us in our tuxes, him giving me the toe kick of doom.
And I will also say, on Dark's example, Sephiroth has built up the entire game. If you read the manual, he's in the manual, and he's listed with the playable characters. It has his age and all that sort of stuff, and they're like, huh. And then over the course of the game, people are like, Sephiroth and so he is present, but always just a little off screen for a lot of the game, and he is definitely built up. So it definitely falls into that category. If I may, I'm not trying to take the spotlight away, but I have one that's very similar. And after the Mother Brain conversation last time, I was like, oh, does this still qualify? But it's a final boss of another Final Fantasy, and I want to know if you guys think this qualifies or not. Final Fantasy X, not Braska's final Aeon, Jet in his super pumped up roided form. But when you beat that, then after you go through all the summons to kind of clear out the Eidolons, you face Yu Yevon. And in the lore of the game, Yu Yevon was the strongest summoner in the history of Spira. He basically constructed both the dreamscape of Xanarkand that still exists and has existed for thousands of years, but Sin itself, the entity that keeps wrecking the world once a generation or so. And you finally get to face him, and I get that they make him kind of mindless because he probably lost his sanity aeons ago. But the thing is about this battle, you can't lose. It is possible because he has those pagodas that heal him that you may not do enough damage to actually win, But since you had to beat Braska's final Aeon, which is a pain in the giant patootie to beat, um, and the fact that your characters all have auto resurrect, and every time it triggers, it then reapplies itself. Even if it's a longish battle, if you can't do a lot of
Mhm.
damage. And this is also one of the Final Fantasies where you have access to your full roster. You can just switch out characters. If for some reason you're like, no, I want to bring in a heavy hitter or sub him out, you can't lose. And I've heard the argument is they want you to fight him for story purposes, but at this point you've beaten the challenge of the game. So kind of like the final boss with Sephiroth, it's more about closing the chapter, closing the story, but unlike the battle with Sephiroth, you do have to take turns, you do have to make choices and finish the battle, but you're not going to die. So do you guys think that Yu Yevon falls into that same category?
Yes.
That just seems pointless.
I think it rubbed a lot of people the wrong way when they were like, "What? You know, why am I doing this?" But I'm not going to speak for all gamers.
Well, that's good because
Yeah,
you're not
like
misogynist enough for that.
I wondered if somebody was going to go there.
yeah, Eject was the actual final boss. Um, I had to watch my brother do the Yu Yevon fight because I wasn't able to do it on my file because I had screwed up and was underleveled by the time I got to Eject and couldn't beat him. I just couldn't do it.
Not with that
Jet is
attitude.
way Jet is way harder than anything if you're just going the normal route without grinding than anything before it. And you might struggle against his first phase, unlock the second phase, and just get destroyed. So trust me, I was right there with you my first playthrough. I was like, I don't know what I'm doing wrong. So, but your brother was able to clear Jet and get to you,
Yeah.
Yevon.
Mhm.
Okay, then.
Okay.
That was
So,
Mike's entire thought, I guess.
well,
Well,
Mike,
I
what do
mean,
you have on
no,
you?
well, it's it sounded like y'all were moving on, so I didn't say anything. But yeah, I agree because the Yevon versus Yu Yevon thing, it's basically like Ahura Mazda versus Ahriman. Like Yu Yevon is this big, is played up as this, what's turned into this primordial ancient evil force that's just going to keep destroying the world over and over again. And then you get there and it's like, yeah, like Brian said, it's just, you can't lose.
So our last two story examples, Snoke and Yanrog, and Final Fantasy VII and Final Fantasy X, those were all like story things.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Do I have any of these in my list that are story things? Not really, no.
I have one. It's a story thing that happens at the very beginning of something instead of the very end.
Ooh, what's that?
It's something that happens near the beginning of the Secret of Mana. It's what I would consider the first boss. It's this
Hmm.
big, scary looking creature called the mantis ant. And
Yes.
you're, you just found a weapon, you get dropped down into a hole with it. It's huge. If you get close to it and it hits you, it's basically one-shotting you. And then you have a partner up above who revives you every time. If you try to hit it normally, it's like it doesn't really do anything, and then it just hits you and you die again. But the point is that you're supposed to learn how to use the charge up attack on your weapon. If you hit it maybe just once, it's been a long time. Maybe just once, maybe you got to do it 2 or 3 times with the first level charge up attack on your weapon. That can actually hurt it, and that's how you defeat this thing that otherwise seems unbeatable compared to the, you know, forest creatures you've been running around
Yeah.
smacking. until
No,
that
that's a good
point.
example. I like how Secret of Mana of all games has come up a couple times. So, but yeah, he's right. And yeah, it takes a couple hits from the charge attacks, but the knight is above and he just revives you every time you get knocked out.
Mhm.
So, big, scary, isn't really built up, but it's like there's an earthquake and you're face to face with this thing and it's going to eat your face. And you're like, oh my God. So, and then you can't die.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that totally qualifies.
Oh yeah.
I've got one also kind of like tangential. I don't know. In Skyrim, the first dragon you fight.
I mean, I don't think that
And I
counts
say this,
because you can
well,
absolutely die to that bastard.
you can. However, you can also just not. You can just go and hide, and the guards will actually kill it.
Really?
Like the very last time I played it, I got on the top and I just shot arrows, and I only shot like 3 arrows before he died,
Huh.
and there were plenty of guards still around. So yes, he comes off. He's like, yeah, you could die to him. That is absolutely true. But at the same time, he's not a particularly powerful. Like he comes across, he looks like all the other really strong dragons and whatnot, but he's also like not a particularly difficult opponent.
He's like a tutorial dragon.
Kinda, yeah.
Yeah, I forgot about that. I've never actually like not run out there to either
Like,
shoot arrows at him
well,
or
and
smash
again, that's
him.
kind of like it's kind of like the Secret of Man thing. It's like, yeah, you can like totally run out, and the dragon could definitely burn you alive, or you don't do that, and you just kind of like, well, I'm gonna go in here and I'm gonna shoot around the corner and learn how you can do stuff in this game without like running up and getting you know face planted and butt kicked down the hallway.
And weirdly, the final boss, Alduin, the
Oh
very last
yeah,
time you
he's
fight
a
him,
pushover.
you can actually just focus on keeping him on the ground with your dragon rend, and then using your clear weather shout whenever he starts raining down meteors and whatnot. And never actually, you only have to hit him for the finishing blow. The what the ancient heroes or whoever the 3 or 4 other, especially if you manage to
Mhm.
draw over what's his name, Sun, the big dude who guards the bridge. If you can get him to come over, they will just wreck Alduin, but they can't finish him. You have to run up and go like plink,
Yeah, you have to do the killing blow.
which is
Yeah.
really
So,
funny.
so I had kind of kept my list to, again, things that maybe were built up a little bit, but you can include things that are physically or appear to be really big, like the mantis ant. Did any of you guys ever play ActRaiser?
Oh yeah, I
The
love ActRaiser.
the first boss, the centaur boss, first level, first boss, you might go to fight it and you're like, I don't know how to win because it's this giant horseman with a super long spear that reaches much further than you can. How do you beat it? And then you go to the far left
Neil.
and kneel and you slash forward and his spear goes right over you and does not hit your hitbox and he cannot hurt you. So I don't know if that qualifies because it's literally the first boss, but he is huge and it does give you like a oh god. And if you don't know the trick, I could see it being very frustrating.
Yeah, that's a different thing entirely. That's more of a
That is a
there's an
different thing.
exploitable
Yeah.
weakness in the enemy AI than
Yeah. Kind of like Shadow Link in Zelda 2.
Yeah, I was just thinking that if you just kneel in the corner and what is it? You just squat and thrust, and eventually he'll die.
Squat and thrust. There's got to be a subcategory of squat and thrust enemies, and we totally need to trademark that. How do you beat the enemy?
Next episode,
You squat and thrust.
thrust.
Yeah. If you're struggling, the old squat and thrust.
Video games taught me a great lesson.
It's those quads, man. It's that core right there. You gotta work on the core. But yeah.
So
I have one. Go ahead.
Well, going off of what Dirk said with the dragon, which also is probably a like an exploit with the enemy AI, but then it gives you all of those guards there, so that's got to be a viable strategy that they planned for. But
well,
I'm thinking...
I feel like that was like you said, it's there because they want you to feel like, okay, yeah, we want this story to move along, and if we're like, you gotta go kill this dragon and no one's gonna help you, it's gonna have people go, well, I guess I'm doing side quests for the rest of this game. So
because if you don't have a bow, like if you're not going stealth archer like everyone always ends up as, but if you haven't realized that you're going to end up as a stealth archer yet, and you don't have any kind of ranged weapon, you might not be able to kill that stupid dragon.
Yeah, if you just get outright flattened and you can't see any way through, you're just going to lose interest in the game and be really disappointed that you only got so far into it.
Oh, yeah, I imagine the guards are there to help you make you feel like, oh man, those are great and everything. But the reality is once you play and you go, oh, like I'm level 3 and I definitely just like I shot it a couple times, then I won.
But along those lines,
pew pew.
In Dark Souls, okay. I want you guys to know. I know the three of you have never played Dark Souls. Neither have I. But I want you to know I'm not making this up, and I'm not just being gross. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I want you to know this, listeners. This is a real thing. Okay. There's a boss in the first Dark Souls called Ceaseless Discharge. Yeah. It is this giant, horrible fire rock thing. Apparently it's the source of the lava flow that's blocking off deeper areas of the map, thus the name.
I bet the ceaseless flow is flopping, yeah.
And once you get into its area, it won't attack you unless you attack it first. Y'all can just stand there and like, what's up, man? How's it going? But if you run over to the side and loot, there's a dead body over here on the side that's got, I don't know, some type of armor or something. And if you run over there and loot it and then run back, it will get pissed and attack you. But you don't have to stand your ground and fight. You can just book it back towards the exit of the arena. And apparently it will like try to follow you because it's really pissed. And it will jump across some sort of chasm or lava or something. I don't know. And like reach out and try to grab you with one hand or limb. It doesn't really have hands, but you know. And then apparently it's just hanging there because now its rage has gotten it into this predicament that it can't get itself out of. And you can just turn and hit the hand, I think it's 5 times, and it makes him let go, and you win.
And a winner is you.
Yeah, and that's the entire boss fight if you don't want to do the boss. Now, there is apparently an actual way to just skip Ceaseless entirely and get to later parts of the map that speedrunners use, or challenge runners, or whoever. But this isn't the skip. This counts as beating the boss. And that's there. Like they put that there on purpose. So you don't have to fight the ceaseless discharge. And I just think that's funny.
That is funny.
That it's like legit. That's the way that a lot of people that play Dark Souls a lot beat him, because his boss fight is apparently boring. So just get it out of the way quickly. Just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, later, bud. And they
So not even so much that it's difficult or anything. It's more just get it over with.
Yeah, it's not an interesting boss fight. And they sort of did it again in Dark Souls 3 with the ancient wyvern, however you say that word, which is this giant dragon. And there are dragons all over the place in the Dark Souls games, but this is giant dragon that just lands in front of you, and you have to fight it. But you don't have to fight it. You can just nope, and run past it, like hang a left or right, whatever, hang a turn, run up a tower, fight past some regular ass enemies, just, excuse me, coming through, get up above the dragon, and if you jump down and do a plunging attack, which in Dark Souls, it teaches you plunging attacks with your very first boss, like the Asylum Demon, the tutorial boss in the first game. When you bump into him, well, the first time you go, and you run away, and then, because you don't have a weapon or anything, and then you come back up above him, and you jump down, and it gives you a little message there to tell you how to do a plunging attack. And that does way more damage than a regular attack, but still, it's just damage,
Mm-hmm.
But if you find yourself up above the Ancient Wyvern in Dark Souls 3, you can jump off and do a plunging attack, and it's a one-hit kill, apparently no matter what sort of weapon you're using. It's just, here's a free win, thanks for playing. That one I don't know much about as much as the first one, other than apparently it's not a terribly impressive boss fight. You're basically just hacking away at a dragon's toes for God only knows how long until it finally dies. So
Dragon toes.
Dragon toes. I don't know why they put that one in there. The Backlogs, who is my source of all of this Dark Souls knowledge, he plays Dark Souls 1 a lot more than Dark Souls 3, so I've seen a lot more discussion about Ceaseless than I have the Ancient Wyvern. But and I come to think of it, I don't think I've ever seen him do the Ancient Wyvern plunging attack thing. He always just stands there and hacks at its toes until it's dead. Weird. But yeah, those, like, the developers from Software like gave you these alternate ways to win for some reason, which I find interesting, because Dark Souls as a series is not trying to do the player any favors.
I mean, I've never played one, but there's when people say, "Oh, it's the Dark Souls of Zelda games," "Oh, it's the Dark Souls of Candy Crush," then that tells you that you're in for a bad time,
Yeah, it turns out Dark Souls is the Dark Souls of Dark Souls, so. But yeah, there's 2 examples there of ways to make that. You could have a straight up normal ass boss fight, or you could do this other easy thing instead.
Exploit.
Yeah. Well, no, it's not an exploit, because exploit implies that the developers didn't mean for it to happen. Like they put them both there on purpose.
Yeah. I do think, just as an example, the first boss in ActRaiser, they totally put that platform there for you to kneel under because they were like learn pattern recognition, little SNES players learn it. So I don't think that's an exploit. The Dark Link, I don't know. I think they meant for you to actually have a battle. So,
Hmm.
From what
but
I've never
you know,
gotten to the end of Zelda 2, from what I understand, that fight is just not fair.
it is possible to win, but most of the time I just give up and do the, squat and thrust.
Yeah.
So,
Because, like, you've already used up all of your magic to beat the Thunderbird.
yeah,
So it's not like you have heal or shield or anything handy.
yeah.
And it can go whap whap, you're dead. Ah, like
Yeah.
Yeah. It is a giant pain in the butt. Um, I have, let's see. Oh shoot, I covered up my list. Why did I do that? Sorry, I was moving something around. So,
bad at this
you
game.
mentioned like story ones we were talking about before. Um, I think some of the ones for like TV shows and movies are going to inherently be story based because you don't really have a player in that scenario. It's the narrative of the story has set them up to be really big, right? So before we move too far from that, I do have another entry. Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Buffy fights a variety of vampires, demons, and forces of darkness, as the opening scroll will tell you. And
Ooh,
by season
is this the PS1 game?
this is the television series. So
Oh right, okay, never mind. I was like,
the act.
did anybody play any of these games well enough for this to matter? Okay,
I I love Buffy, and I've never played any of the video games. So for a little while there was a CCG game, and I don't think it did terribly well.
sorry,
But
PS2 game.
um,
Before anybody gets mad at me.
oh, I'm sure somebody would. But so by the fourth season, they've fought a lot of stuff. Buffy has almost died. In fact, did die at one point. Has fought all sorts of things, and the ensemble has her, Willow, who is just now really getting into magic, is a practicing Wicca. Her boyfriend Oz, who's a werewolf. Xander, who's kind of a douche, and Giles, who's the old English librarian, watcher, mentor type guy. So, in a Halloween episode, they go to a frat house because they're in college now, and one of the fraternity brothers decided to spray paint a symbol of, let me check my notes, Gathnar, on the floor, and it actually and then spills blood on it because they're an idiot. And Gathnar is the fear demon. So anyone that goes into the house finds themselves trapped. Their worst fears come to life, sometimes almost in an illusion sort of way, but very other times in a very real physical way. The werewolf finds himself changing even though it's not the full moon, and this is not like a whatever the werewolves were in Twilight, where they're like, hey, we can be wolves now. On Buffy, you lose control, you become wholly the animal, and the character Oz has to chain himself up every full moon. Played by a very young Seth Green, by the way. So he starts changing, and he finds himself. Somebody sees him in a bathtub, just basically trying to will himself not to change. Willow tries to do a locator spell because she's become more and more reliant on magic, but she keeps trying to think of who she needs to go to look for. So the little spark that's supposed to lead her around starts splitting up into these little things, and they start attacking her because she loses control. Everyone starts facing their worst fears. Giles shows up and says, hey, this is Gathnar. I've got a book about this because I have all the books. We need to be very careful. They find themselves in the attic. They see the symbol of Gathnar, and Giles says, all right, there's a couple ways, according to the book, that we can remove this demon without doing anything ridiculous. And he's reading from the book, and he says, destroying the symbol, and Buffy grabs something sharp and punctures the floor. And Giles says, is not a way to do that, and will in fact summon the fear demon itself. Thank you very much. We're all going to die. And the camera zooms down, and there's a couple panning shots, and you see this horrible demon with studs everywhere, piercings, horrible face, and it's going, oh, and everybody's kind of taking a step back. And then after this giant intro, the camera goes back to normal, and you realize that he's like 2 inches tall. and they're all looking down at him. And he's like talking, and he's talking in this really little voice, and they're like, "Is that it?" And they're like, "He's so cute," and they're like, "He's still a demon." And Xander's like, "What are you gonna do? Who's a mighty demon? Who's a mighty demon?" And Giles says, "Don't mock him." And Xander's like, "Why? Is he actually dangerous?" And Giles is like, "Well, no, but it's just tacky." And Buffy ends up Buffy ends up just stepping on him. And I think he's worthy of this list because the whole episode sets him up to be like this powerful being. He's bring your fears to life, and then just purely due to this incidental fact about his physical nature, he's just a complete another joke. And I have to mention a lot of the episodes end with, you've heard of a cold open. They end on like a cold close where, the it's the sort of crickets thing, or somebody gets a last line in and it goes directly to the credits. They are back at Giles's apartment. They're kind of talking over about how it could have been worse and da da da. And then Giles says, "Dear Lord," he's looking at the book, and he's like, "I missed this." And there's a picture of Gathnar. He's like, "I missed the inscription under the picture." And somebody says, "What does it say?" And they're thinking like, "Oh, is he coming back?" And he says, "No, it says actual size." And that's where the episode ends. So I submit Gathnar from season 4 of Buffy because it was done very well.
That's pretty funny.
I like it. You should Google Gathnar's voice sometime because he's like, "Fear me," but a little more high pitched than Minnie Mouse. So
Yeah, that is sort of like, okay, so one of the first examples we got in the Discord was one that came to my mind as well. Anyone ever play Spider-Man 2 on the PS2?
Nope.
I played Spider-Man 1, and then we bought Spider-Man 2 a couple months ago because it was on sale, and I haven't gotten to it yet.
On the PS2.
Oh, ooh, I saw you playing it several times. That was open world, and I recall you really loved it.
Yeah.
I did not play it.
So, in this game, which is Spider-Man 2 based on the movie, even though none of this is in the movie, they had to expand it for a video game. Mysterio shows up. And Mysterio in this game is presented as an alien from another planet. Because, bowl head Mysterious does crazy stuff. He's an alien from another planet. And, like, throughout the course of however long, you deal with, like, entire levels, essentially, missions, whatever you want to call them, that are because of him. Like, he sends giant flying UFO things to steal or knock down or something the Statue of Liberty. And you end up in this crazy fun house with gravity inverted in places and reflections, like funhouse reflections of Spider-Man that come to life and attack you. It's completely insane. And after you've gotten through all this, I think you hear from a police scanner or something, I don't remember the specifics, that Mysterio was spotted in like a bodega or a convenience store, but it's New York City, so it's a bodega. And you get there and you find Mysterio like trying to rob the cashier. And then he's like, Spider-Man, and his health bar appears while he's like posing or whatever, and it fills up 3 times. And you're like, oh dear God, what is gonna happen? And then you hit him. And he goes flying back and his helmet comes off and he's just some dweeb named Quentin.
Nice. I like it. I wonder if that's where we were going with this, and I approve.
And I remember thinking at the time, I'm like, why is he in like a convenience store trying to rob the cashier. Like, I know that Mysterio's just a dude, but in this game so far, he hasn't been presented as a dude. He's been presented as an alien. So, like, what is going on?
But he was faking the whole time.
Well, yeah, because that's what Mysterio does. He uses
Cause that,
special effects and illusions and whatnot.
yeah.
And
I
yeah,
love it.
there's one punch, and he goes flying back, and his helmet comes off, and the cashier is like, "That was awesome, dude!" You know.
It just takes one punch, man.
And it was, but like the health bar filling up 3 times made me like clinch. I'm like, oh my god, this is gonna take forever. Nope. It was really funny. And the Arkham games specifically are really, I don't want to say bad for this, because boss fights in the Arkham games, I forget. Have any of you played any of the Arkham games?
I have not.
Just watch someone else play.
And Dirk's muted. But
No, I'm not muted.
okay. Have you played any of them?
No.
Oh, so it's just me. So the boss fights in these games are kind of hit and miss. Like the Mr. Freeze fight in Arkham City is one of the best boss fights in video games, especially on higher difficulties. Because like the way that works is he learns from what you do. So if you take him down by perching on a railing and coming off and hitting him with a flying kick, then he'll freeze all the railings so you can't perch on them anymore. And if you come up from under him from one of the grates and do a takedown that way, he'll freeze all the grates shut so you can't do that again. And as you go up in difficulties, it takes more and more and more hits essentially to take him out. To
Right.
where when I played through on Nightmare difficulty for the achievement, I was like, I would pause the game and go, what else is left? I've snuck up behind him. I've done this. I've done that. Because it takes something like, I don't know, 8 or 10 or 12 or something. And you have to do, it's like every conceivable way that Batman has to do a takedown, -1, I think. So I was like racking my brain, but that's like the pinnacle. That is the best boss fight in the Arkham series, at least the 2 that I've played. Admittedly, I haven't played Origins or Night, although I think those are going to be coming up soon. But the example I came up with was Deadshot in Arkham City. So Arkham City is an open world game, and there's just stuff just happening everywhere, just periodically. Oh, what is this? Okay. And one of the things is side quests about random political prisoners in Arkham City being assassinated. And you'll have to set up your little crime scene and figure out where the bullet went and trace it back to where it came from, and then go to where it came from and do some detective work there. And eventually you find out, okay, it's Deadshot. I've got a list of his targets. All right. And then you happen to save his last target. Well, his next to last target, because Bruce Wayne's his last target. But you happen to save his target from getting shot. And he's like, no, you made me miss. And then you have a boss fight with Deadshot. And he's on the center of this area, and you know he's Deadshot, so he's a sniper. So if you get anywhere where he can see you, he's going to take a shot at you. And I don't remember if it's a one-hit kill or not. I don't think so. But the way you beat him is you just get under him and do a takedown. Just
Just, haha, you can't hit me. Now you're done.
yeah, like you go, you sneak. He's on this like raised platform that you've probably seen before because it's an open world, and there's a combat encounter up there. When you're just gliding around the city, and you just end up underneath him and hit the takedown button, and Batman jumps up and takes him down, and that's it. And then it cuts to a shot of him being locked up in this subway car, and that's it. Which it's built up to be like, oh, check this out, a boss encounter, and then you push one button. And apparently in Arkham Origins it does this too with the electrocutioner, except this is actually like you're in this combat arena and there's a bunch of other thugs watching, and the electrocutioner comes out and makes a big show of being the champ, and he turns on his electrocutioner gauntlets and is like, ugh! And then you do anything. In the video I saw, they did like a cape stun, which does not do damage, and it cuts to a cutscene of Batman just knocking him the hell out in one hit and taking his electrocutioner gauntlets. And I'm like, oh, huh. But I think a bunch of these are because that's who Batman is. Like the Penguin boss fight in Arkham Asylum. No, that's also Arkham City. Damn. Like he's got Mr. Freeze's gun, but you've just recently gotten your disruptor gadget. So you disrupt the gun and then you walk towards him and he tries to shoot you and nothing happens because you've used the disruptor on Mr. Freeze's gun, and then you crack him with a massive uppercut and he goes flying and lands. And when you jump down to get him, he triggers an explosion and you fall down into the basement. Or now you have an actual boss fight with Solomon Grundy. And then you beat Solomon Grundy, which, like I said, an actual boss fight. And now the Penguin's there with like a rocket launcher shooting rockets at you. And all you do is you just dodge around the rockets and then you do a beatdown. Which, I mean, you hit him more than once, but I really think it's just because Batman's pissed at him. Like, you have to do a stun and then you just tap the attack button and it's a pre-animated series of attacks that are unstoppable. And then you crack him in the jaw once again, and now you're done. And I'm like, that's 2 boss fights against the Penguin that with an actual boss fight in the middle that were just completely anticlimax. But then I think the reason for this is because the Penguin is not a physical powerhouse, No. And Batman knows it, and the game knows it, and the player knows it. So if you had like an actual like fight with the Penguin, people would be like, bruh. Ain't no way. And so they set these up to be, okay, I'm going to use the word gimmick, but I don't mean that in a negative way.
Right. Just a trick to it.
Yeah. I mean, the Killer Croc fight in Arkham Asylum is the same way. Where he's not so much a boss fight at first as he is a obstacle. You're down in his underwater lair looking for a plot MacGuffin. And if you run or walk, then he'll find you and grab you and kill you. So you have to be really stealthy. And then occasionally he'll pop up out of the ground, out from under the water and charge at you. And you just throw a batarang and it hits his Arkham collar and it goes, and he goes, ah, and falls back in the water and you just sneak away. But that's not a boss fight. That's, like I said, he's an obstacle for this underwater or underground level. Yeah. And then when you get back to the exit, you're like, oh, now we're going to have the boss fight because there's Croc down there. And and he's charging at us. All right, here comes the fight. But earlier Batman put like 3 explosive gels on a spot on the ground, and he's just standing there, and you realize I'm not in control. Or you might be, actually. I think you are in control. But you can't move. You're standing there, and when he gets to the point, you push the detonator, and the ground opens up, and he falls down and goes, "Ah!" And that's it. You don't see him again in this game. And again, that's because Batman doesn't have time to be trying to one-on-one. And the version of Killer Croc in Arkham Asylum is massive and terrifying.
Uh-huh.
So, and Batman's on a time limit, man. He's got stuff to do. So, it's all about using his resourcefulness, which is who Batman is, rather than, like, sure, he beats up a lot of people, but only because they're in his way and he doesn't have a better way around it.
Right.
It was mentioned in the Discord that the final boss fight with Joker is also bad. And while I agree that's a bad boss fight, I don't think it's what we're looking for in this episode, because like Joker's all roided up on his Titan formula, which is like Bane's venom mixed with something or other. And he's like a massive, mutated, horrible thing. But his boss fight involves him like posing for all of the circling police helicopters while you fight off a bunch of henchmen. And then you hit him in the back with the bat rope and pull him down and hit him a few times. And then he bats you away, jumps back up there and calls in more henchmen. So like as a final boss fight, it's crap, but it's not like, he's not like the kind, it's a bad boss fight, not the pushover on purpose boss fight, if that makes sense.
Okay. Yeah.
And yet here it is. I talked about it anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Let's see. Dirk, what else was on your list? Okay.
One that's on my list is Bowser from Super Mario World.
Mario World.
The one where he's in the Koopa thing throwing the little mechanic Koopas down.
Super Nintendo one where he's in the little cup that's got a little propeller underneath, and he throws little robots that all you have to do is jump on the top, grab it, and throw it straight into the air, and it will land on Bowser.
I mean, there's stuff you have to dodge. He throws down fire that doesn't dissipate right away, so you have to kind of time it. He has the giant bowling ball thing. I don't know that I kind of like last week where I was like, oh, Mother Brain, and you guys were like, no, she's built up and it's climactic. This has its own music, and Peach every now and then is like, help me. I don't know that I completely agree with you on this one. I think it's not terribly difficult, but is not necessarily a pushover. And the game doesn't just go like, here, have the win.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's not like have the win, but it's also like he's the penultimate baddie, and his fight is not a particularly difficult battle.
I think he's actually the ultimate baddie. Penultimate means that he's second.
Next to last. Yeah.
No.
The weirdly, I have an example as to why that's not a pushover. I was listening to a podcast a while back where this dude he'd never played Super Mario World, and so he went back to do it, and he said he actually had serious problems with the Bowser boss fight because the reason I'm not telling I'm not going to name this podcast is because I have a lot of problems with the way this dude plays games. And the way he podcasts. Like if we have incomplete information, we'll say, I don't remember specifically. He does not. He just states things as if they're fact when they're blatantly wrong. I was listening to his episode on Hades and going, did you even play the damn game? Like, what are you talking about? So, but he played Super Mario World for the first time, and because he's, playing it in, I guess it was 2022 or whatever, he didn't read the manual. And nowhere in the game does it ever explain, which it doesn't really explain anything, but it never does the Nintendo tutorializing thing to show you that you can actually grab things and kick them upwards. It's just not a thing anywhere in the game that it's necessary to do that until the very final boss. And he said, for the longest time, I could not figure out how to beat Bowser.
There are like blocks that are too high for you to jump to on your own that you can grab a turtle shell and kick them up high enough to get.
Yeah, but apparently those aren't necessary to beat the game.
They're not necessary to beat the game, no. But if you play the game with a controller for long enough, in theory, you'd
think you would do it accidentally at some point.
Yeah.
Well, I think that back at that time, if you got stuck on something, then you were like, well, let me read the manual. And the manual, I would almost definitely say, did tell you that, this is how you do stuff. Like how you fly with the cape. How you can pick stuff up, and you go, you can pick stuff up, and then you played and you're like, this is amazing. This completely changes the game. So yeah.
I've got the manual open now. Yep, there it is. Throwing an item, and there's a picture of Mario throwing it straight up. And it says, when you're holding an item, press the control pad in the direction you want to throw, and then release the Y button. So yeah, it was in the manual. But again, because Home Skillet is playing a 90s game in 2022...
and obviously did not go, well, how do you do this? And then read the instructions.
I don't understand modern... All right, tangent rant. I don't understand modern gamers who want to, go back and play old games and then complain that it doesn't teach you how to do things. Games used to come with a little book that explained everything that you read in the car on the way home.
That was one of the best parts of some games.
Yeah. So then you felt prepared to play the game.
I don't understand. If I was gonna go back and play an older game that I'd never played before, I would Google the manual, or in Launchbox I would just right click and hit View Manual, because most of them I've found the manual and it's in the proper folder. So it's just what are you people doing? I know that, and he's in his I think he's 10 years younger than us, so he was too young for these games at the time. But you think he'd be old enough to know better? Anyway, I'm not gonna name and shame, because a lot of people apparently love his show. I'm still listening to it, even though
if he doesn't have an older sibling, then he probably just wouldn't know.
Do what?
I said if he doesn't have an older sibling, then he just might not know. If you think there's a 10-year difference between us and him.
Mike, are you quiet on purpose, or is it on my end?
You were kind of trailing off.
Is this more audible?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. I had my microphone I had it pushed out of my face because I was doing something.
Look at you.
Yeah, if you think there's a 10-year gap between us and him, thinking about the 5-year gap between me and my brother, if he doesn't have an older sibling, then that's something he just might not know or think about.
Well, no, because he does know, because he says, I didn't read the manual or anything. And I'm like, well, then you're an idiot.
That's part of what you do as an older
he's just being a dummy.
Yeah.
I didn't read the manual for how to put together this lawn chair from IKEA. Wonder why it looks more like a bird feeder. Must be IKEA's fault.
Damn you, Swedish meatballs. But yeah, So he could not figure. I think he had to like look up how to beat Bowser, and I'm like, that's just sad.
It's like, well, when you looked it up, did they are like, and you do this, and he goes, and then he kind of figure out, oh, well,
Wait,
and then it was like, okay, now I can actually win.
isn't there a boo house where you have to be able to do that to beat the boo?
Yeah,
Or is that also
because
optional?
I don't
because
think
you
you have
Yeah,
to
grab
but
throw
you
it up.
can.
I
blocks.
think you
There are
just have
ways
to
to
hit
get
him with
around
something.
that.
I think you can lure him down to so that he's level with you.
Yeah.
It makes the game a lot easier
But then
when
how
you
do
know
you
how to
hit him?
do this basic.
I thought you have
When
to
he's
hit him with the
level,
blocks.
you do. You just don't kick it up. You just kick it to the side.
Yeah, you can
Oh,
just jump and kick it towards him. That'll hit him.
It's
oh.
still kicking it. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I get what you're saying.
Yeah, it was
And you
it was
know
the kicking
what?
straight up that he wasn't aware of. And I'm like, bruh,
Mhm.
this has been a
I
long
just realized
tangent.
that in the opening sequence that you actually watch Mario pick up something in the opening animation.
You do?
Oh yeah, and he kicks it straight up and then it lands on his head.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So
Okay.
there's even a thing where it's like, hey, you have the ability to do this, and he just never thought
Foreshadowing.
to you know be like, well, how did he do that? Let me try this. Let me try this.
Big old bucket of bat at this game.
Oh yeah, I really do feel like he walked into the to his own issue on that one.
Yes. You're not wrong. Well, let's, you know, I fell into this last week when I was talking about Mother Brain and kind of my preference toward how I thought that the battle was not difficult, but that was just me kind of projecting onto it. I had on my list, I was not sure if this would qualify or not, but Kingdom Hearts, one, especially the original one, they made a big deal about how it's, Disney and Final Fantasy. And so you saw some enemies and you're like, oh, okay, I kind of know this from its, how it's similar to a Final Fantasy enemy. And when you get to a certain point in the game, you fight your first behemoth. It's after the door to all worlds has been opened. It's kind of in this shadow type dimension, and it's huge. It is like 4 Soras tall, and it can be difficult to jump on its back depending on how you have high jump and where you jump. But you want to get up there because it's easier to hit the horn in its head. But it's a behemoth, and behemoths are iconic Final Fantasy enemies. Maybe not the level of Cactar or Tonberry, but late end game monsters. They're iconic. And this one just you fight it there, and then you can fight versions of it at the Colosseum and at the world called the End of the World, and they're just not that difficult. And I'm wondering if, again, I want to make sure that I'm not doing the mother brain thing because it's huge and it's imposing. It is possible it can kill you if you're very underleveled, but I think if you've gotten to this point, you have fought through Dragon Maleficent and you have fought through the final dark form Riku, the one where he's actually possessed by Ansem, and you don't have Donald and Goofy fighting with you, and holy crap, is that boss difficult. And at this point, you're like, it's a behemoth, and then you swipe it, and it, not with 1 or 2 hits, but it just doesn't have the same weight. But do you guys think that that counts, or do you think
No. No, I think that's
you
just
don't think it,
I think that's
you
just
think
you
that's just me?
expecting more than there is.
More than, and so maybe there's a lesson to be learned from that as well about, like, again, our experiences in other games, and when we see, oh, this, the game does not necessarily make it easy, but it does not live up to the hype that we have put on it, regardless of what the game has done. Does that make
Mhm.
sense? When I see
Yeah.
when I see death in a Castlevania game, because of my experiences with death in the first one, the third one, and then Super, I always just expect it to be one of the hardest or the hardest battles in the game. And sometimes it is, and sometimes it's not. So
Isn't Death the one in Castlevania 2 that you can just walk past?
there are only three bosses in Castlevania 2: Death, Carmilla, and Dracula. And Dracula is the only one that you have to fight. And in fact, if you do beat Death or Carmilla and you proceed to the next room, which has the piece of Dracula you're looking for, on the way out, the boss respawns. So you're just like, I, because it's just how the game worked. It's just when there's a trigger, when you enter this room, spawn this boss. There's no special music or anything like that. I'm trying to remember. I think they may actually drop an item that you might need to proceed, but I can't remember for sure. And certainly, as
I don't
soon as
think
you've
you
got it,
need it.
you
If they do.
then you but you are absolutely free, regardless of if you need that or not. You can walk to the other side of the room. Possibly, I think in Carmilla's instance, you can just walk under her because she's a floating mask, and it's entirely possible to just walk quickly across the room and not even get hit. Just like, hey, go stake the orb in the next room, get his heart or rib or big toe or whatever it is you're looking for that mansion, and then you know, walk out and just be like, bye. And she's like, wait, come back. Oh. But
Okay, so
again,
Death drops the golden knife, which you don't need. It's just a powerful sub weapon.
so you probably want it, but it's not necessary for game progression.
Yeah, Vampira or Camilla or Carnilla, depending on which version you're playing, drops the cross, which you apparently do need to get
Okay.
into Dracula's castle at the end. So yeah, you can just walk past Death, who in the first and
Death.
third games is just a word I can't say here, just brutal. And you can just wander past like, "What's up, man?" and just keep going and not have to fight.
Yeah.
Which I think that version of him probably belongs on the list.
I mean, probably, but again, how much of that is because of what you expect from playing Final Fantasies? The game itself does not do anything to hype out death. It is the Grim Reaper, and that's always going to carry something, but the game tells you nothing about these bosses. They're literally a floating figure in a room that you can, again, there's nothing quite like actually fighting one of these guys and winning and pulling it out and going to the next room, getting what you need, and then seeing it again, and you're like, I have to, no, I'm just leaving, and then realizing I did not have to fight that. Maybe you'd have to for Vampira for story progression, but in that moment, you don't have to. So that's
So
crazy.
weird.
Yeah. Game design, man. I've heard there's been a couple quality fan remakes of that game that are quite good. Because the bones are there for a good game. It really was ahead of its time, but the actual implementation left something to be desired.
Yeah, the English version is just riddled with the issues.
Don't look directly at the Death Star.
I think. Yeah, like that. I think there. As a matter of fact, I think I have a couple of like ROM hacks that fix the translation and add a map just so you know where the hell things go.
Hmm.
Because even in the manual, there wasn't a map that told you anything. You just walk for a while and oh look a town, oh look a mansion, oh look a
Uh-huh.
stretch of nothing. Like what?
Sorry, which game was this?
Castlevania 2.
Yeah, that.
Oh, okay.
Dracula's Curse.
No, Simon's Quest.
Simon's Quest.
Dracula. What? Dracula's Curse? Was that the third one?
think it's the third one.
There's apparently a new Castlevania coming out soon, and
Yeah.
hey, look at
by the team that did Dead Cells, and I'm very excited.
yeah.
What's it called?
The third one?
Belmont's Curse.
Belmont's Curse, which sounds like Castlevania 2, because he's cursed. Well, while we're on the subject of vampires, I actually have vampires on this list. So you might go,
What?
Brian, you can't have a whole vampire. I'm actually listing it for Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition. This is not unique to me. I've actually seen a couple. This has been on a couple DM lists where vampires are kind of are hyped up a bit, both from popular culture as well as in Dungeons and Dragons. In the monster manual, they're really well described, and they are they're a medium to slightly higher challenge rating, and they can turn into mist, and they can do some cool stuff, but they are so vulnerable to a couple things. And when you look at their stats, they're really, unless you do some home brewing, just again, rules as written, they're really not that hard to take down. My players encountered one fairly early in the campaign in a particular dungeon. They were thrown in with one, and they started to attack each other, and you guys were going to kill it inside of like 2 rounds. And for narrative purposes, you decided to, because it was thrown into the dungeon with you, you decided to work with it. And then at a certain point, it misformed and pieced out. But this is not, again, my original take. There have been a couple of videos I've seen that they're like, the game builds them up, and they're supposed to be this really cool thing. And just stat-wise, it's the inverse of what we talked about last week with the intellect devourer. Oh, it's tiny, and it's a CR like 1/4 or whatever, and then it just eats your brain and kills you. This is more like it's a vampire, and it can do all this crazy stuff, and then it dies way too easily to just even average rolls. If your characters have magic weapons or silver weapons or both, you know, it's not going to be too hard. And part of it, people also brought it up because there's an entire expansion or product based around Strahd, a vampire, and his stat block is a little better, but it's kind of like, oh, this is the big bad guy that we've been fighting against this whole time, and then, Mike, you were going to say something?
No, I don't think so.
But you agree? You agree with me? You sounded like you were affirming.
Yeah, and also in previous editions of the game, they're super dangerous because they could like permanently drain stats, which is bad.
Which is bad, and that's something that some things do, like intellect devours and all that can. Some things can permanently decrease strength or intelligence, but generally you can get it back with a long rest, and also you don't have a ton of things that do that.
Mm-hmm.
Because number one, it's a strong effect. Number two, it is a bookkeeping hassle in a game that already you have a lot of bookkeeping to be like, oh wait, this score has decreased, but I get that back, so maybe.
Yeah, I wonder if they were softened in later editions because a vampire is kind of an iconic monster, and you don't want to avoid including an iconic monster in your monster fighting game because it might just wipe the party because it's too strong.
Maybe you don't want to wipe the party.
I'm usually in the party.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
We got to get Mike to DM the next campaign. I think that'd be fun.
Yeah, let me get right on that.
You don't sound serious.
It's a lot of work. Brian, come on, man. You're doing it right now. Yes.
I know.
It is a lot of hard work.
I don't disagree.
If you're a little bitch. I mean, what?
Well, maybe I am.
Well, I'm certainly not going to do it.
But so vampires from D&D, because I was trying to do games that weren't just video games. I couldn't really include the hat from Monopoly. Everybody hates the hat. I usually play
Son
the
of a
hat.
bitch.
Yeah.
I've got another
Raise
one
your
from the
hand.
Discord.
Okay.
Hey, you guys remember a little game called Chrono Trigger?
Yes.
Yes.
Do you remember a boss named Ozzy?
Yep.
Yes. Oh, this is great. I know where this is going, and it's great.
Yeah, he was one of the Magus's henchmen, and he had Slash and Flea with him. And yeah, he was. Well, I mean, he's one of Magus's main henchmen, so.
Mm-hmm.
And you've already fought Slash and Flea, and you bump into Ozzy, and he goes, "Slash, Flea, get in here." Hello? Because you already beat them. And he goes, "Well," and he throws a bunch of traps at you, and the party, goes through them. And he's like, "Well,
Side note, I love the trap where you're in the middle of the hallway. There's two conveyor belts on either side. He starts pulling a crank, and giant monsters show up on the conveyor belts, and he doesn't stop turning, and they fall into pits. And he's like, it says something like, Ozzy's in a jam, and he runs away. So,
Yeah.
yeah." But apparently he's at a dead end, and so he throws up an impenetrable barrier, and so the party just drops him down a trap door.
a cat hits a switch that makes him fall down. The party doing it wasn't random enough.
Oh no, the first fight.
Oh, the first fight.
Then
you fight him.
Yeah, then later
So.
in Ozzy's fort, where he's now the Great Ozzy. If you've got the Magus in your party, then he'll talk smack, and then he'll do the thing again where, oh, here's a bunch of obstacles, and he's like, no, and then the party's like, no, and then Slash and Flea will show up, and you'll beat them again.
That boss fight can actually be tricky, the three of them together. But if you knock out one, the other two are not nearly as threatening.
True. And then this time the trapdoor drops the party down, and they go back up to fight Ozzy. And then that's when the cat walks in, bats at a switch, Ozzy falls through, and you never see him again. So he's like the Magus's main henchman, and you have multiple boss fights with him where nothing happens. Which is hilarious.
I love it.
And I'm not entirely sure, like, other than just for comedy's sake, sort of like the Mysterio fight, I guess, is what they were going for with this one. Also, apparently in later editions... No, wait, no. Wait, no, I think I'm thinking of someone else. Never mind. I was going to say in later editions they're not called Slash, Flea, and Ozzy, but I think they still are, actually. There's some other game where pop culture... Oh, was it Final Fantasy VI? There's a Larry, Moe, and Curly.
The Dream Stooges?
In some RPG. And
it's
in later
Science
editions...
Dream.
Do what?
Yeah. In Science Dream.
He's in Science.
The three Dream Stooges.
Yeah. And in the original American version, they were Larry, Moe, and Curly, and then in the like later editions, their names were changed to be more not Stooges, but they're still Larry, Moe, and Curly. Larry, Moe, Curly, Final Fantasy. Yeah, here we go. What are they called? Oh, this doesn't say. Thanks, Internet. Here we go. The GBA version. Laragorn, Kurlax, and Mobius.
Okay. That's weird.
Because reasons. Anyway. But yeah, that's one from the Discord where Ozzy from Chrono Trigger, who is built up to be, the second biggest bad, second only to the Magus, and then he's falls through a trapdoor a couple times. So I've got one more example that I had in the wrong section. It's at the end of the show last week. I was like, oh, I got one more. And then I looked at it and went, wait, no, that shouldn't be here. That should be in the second half.
Mm-hmm.
And it was actually brought up in the Discord again, which blew me away because why would anyone think of this? Did you guys ever play Earthworm Jim?
Yes.
Did not. I saw it in Nintendo Power, but I never actually played it.
Earthworm Jim is awesome.
Yeah, Earthworm Jim is...
I enjoyed it.
Do what?
I said I enjoyed playing it.
Yeah. It's a pair of games, because we're going to ignore the crappy 3D one. But it's a pair of Super Nintendo and Genesis games that went for the purple monkey dishwasher type of random.
Yeah.
But in the manual, there's a character called Bob the Killer Goldfish.
That's right.
And in the manual, he's always pictured as a goldfish in a bowl on the like flexing shoulder of this giant roided up dog and or cat thing. Like, think something that like Popeye would have to fight. Like it's like Arnold Schwarzenegger, but with a cat's head and fur. And the level in the first game, he's this evil mastermind, and the level is it's called the something maze. I forget what, but
it's the underwater level.
Yeah, it's got these traps and giant mutated hamster things, and the stupid glass submarine pod that if you hit the wall too many times will explode, and too many times is like 3.
Yeah.
And it's a god-awful level. And it's very hard. And then you expect a boss fight because, again, in the manual he's pictured with this thing. And it's a goldfish in a bowl. And Jim just knocks over the bowl and goes, groovy, and hops on his little space thing and flies off to the next level. And that's it.
That's it.
And I remember going, what? Like, you don't even get to knock it off. He just does it. And then in the sequel, it's like Bob is back and this time he's ready for you. And there's another long level that's brutal. And then you get to the end and there's this column that's very heavily protected. And one by one, each layer goes up or down and removes itself. And you're like, okay, is Bob going to be in some sort of like mech suit? What's going to go on? And it's the goldfish in a bowl. And this time he reaches in, picks up the fish, pops him in his mouth, swallows, hops on his little space thing and flies off to the next level. And I remember in the second game, my reaction was like, all right, we're going to actually fight Bob the Killer Goldfish this time. What's he going to... What's... All right, yeah, I guess that tracks.
Consistent.
And yeah, when that popped up in the Discord, I was like, what? Because this was on my list last week. And like, somebody else thought of this? Really? We're all messed up.
Yeah, we are.
And old, it turns out. By the way, you should join the Manapool Discord because we have fun in there. It's a nice group of people, unless you're some kind of Nazi, in which case, you know, I don't know, die in a fire.
Yeah.
But otherwise, you should come hang out. We get random people all the time that join the Discord and then immediately leave. And I'm like, if they were bots, I think they would probably stick around.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if... I know there's at least one shop out there called the Manapool that has a Discord, because we've had someone jump in before and be like, I don't think this is right. And I'm like, it's not. So maybe come hang out and like join up and stay. We're all inclusive and stuff.
It's true.
You don't know. You don't go there.
No, but I take your word at it.
That's fair.
Chewie wouldn't lie to you.
Not about this.
No.
No.
I just have one more item on my list.
Is it in
You
the
guys
Frozen
familiar?
section?
What's that?
Nothing.
You guys have heard of Scott Pilgrim, I'm sure. And there was a beat 'em up, Scott Pilgrim, I think, versus the World. It was based off both the comic strip as well as, visual novel, I think is the word I'm looking for. Comic strip makes it sound like it's next to Garfield.
It's next to Garfield in the Sunday paper.
For better
visual
or for
novel
worse.
is a video game. You're looking for graphic novel.
Graphic novel, thank you. As well as, touching on the film with Michael Cera, but I think more inspired by the comic, which is not a strip. And I have seen it. I haven't actually played it. It looks pretty fun, but I did see a playthrough of it at one point. And the final boss is Gideon. And you fight him a couple times in the last level, and he has a roided up version, and then you're in a subspace area where he looks kind of like some version of Sephiroth, where the other evil X's are joined to him in this almost Akira type monstrosity, and you keep beating these forms, and then finally at the end you face a normal size Gideon, but he's got a laser sword. It looks like it's fairly difficult, and then when you beat him at long last, what appears to be a fairly difficult battle, all of a sudden I feel like it's an homage to the end of Mega Man 2, which I always thought, Wily actually was an alien, and it took me a while to realize, no, that's just a sort of projection thing that he is doing while Mega Man is trapped in that last area. But you come out of fighting Gideon, and the real Gideon is using that Dr. Wily machine to make this projection, and he comes out from it and he starts begging for his life, like Dr. Wily.
Yeah.
But instead, you, the player, punch him once and he explodes. So put him on here because the final boss itself appears to actually be difficult, but then the real Gideon has, kind of like Dirk was saying at the beginning, it's basically one hit point. So his real form is a total pushover, because he was doing the Dr. Wily thing, and he was making you think he was way more badass than he was.
Pay no attention to that man behind the curtain.
Yeah, actually, the man behind the machine.
I never finished the old Scott Pilgrim versus the World because it was hard as balls. I had it on the 360 though. I went to buy it on Steam a few years ago, And then it was like, oh, this is a Ubisoft game, and I went, well, screw them. So I never picked it up again. Now there's a new one out, Scott Pilgrim. What's it called? Hang on, it's right here, Scott Pilgrim EX, which I
Yeah, with
played the
more
demo
playable
in the.
characters.
Do what?
It's got more playable characters and stuff, I think.
Yeah, it's also set like years later, just like in real life.
How time
And
flows.
I played the demo in the Next Fest, which apparently there's another Next Fest coming up this month on Steam. So I guess I'll have to look into doing another, play a bunch of Next Fest games and then write them up. There's either 3 or 4 a year. But yeah, the new beat 'em up is really awesome. It's just a bit expensive for a beat 'em up, so I haven't picked it up. It's $28.99.
Oh.
I'm like, for an old school beat 'em up. Anyway,
So that was my list.
nice.
I do feel like this one was harder than last week, but go ahead.
I've got a couple. One is the Mass Effect 3 ending.
The ending as a boss.
Well,
I mean, from a
Yeah.
cultural perspective, it was.
so yeah, there. So in it, you're gonna go. You fight your way into the structure that's going to send you up to the Citadel, where you're going to be able to like stop everything. And you meet the elusive man, who is, he's been this character who's been plaguing you the last game, or he was your pseudo ally in the second game, and then he's straight up the bad guy, or one of the big bad guys in the third one. And you end up defeating him, and then the penultimate is a choice. You can either do option 1, option 2, or option 3, and then the game's over. So in that, there's this big build up to like, okay, you got to get inside, you got to do this. And yeah, the technical last boss was the elusive man, and he actually plays into another thing, and that is dialogue kills. And this is across several games, including Mass Effect, where you essentially convince him to like not kill you and realize he's being indoctrinated, and then he takes care of himself.
He takes care of himself.
I'll
He,
leave you to
like-
your interpretation of that.
I am never gonna play these games, but okay.
So, but yeah, so he's built it. He's like, and then he essentially just, yeah. And so it was kind of anticlimactic in how that one worked. And then when you're like, okay, well, now we've got to do this thing, and it's like, yeah, there's no big boss here. You're just going to make a choice. But that also plays into what I was saying about dialogue kill. And this one is from Mass Effect 3, but it's also Baldur's Gate 3. And what I mean by that is there are several bad guys, several like bosses that you can straight up roll and beat and not fight them at all.
True, but at least that requires a skill check.
So the gold character,
Yep.
who's like the money character, boss in the Underdark.
Yep.
Yeah, I got to her. I never fought her. First time I met her, she I beat her with a dialogue, with a roll,
Nice.
and I never fought her. And
Did
they're always
you
just like, "Oh my, this is like a really hard. Make sure you do this." And like, no, I beat her on on a dialogue roll.
Did you seduce her or
No.
No, not that one anyway.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, there are a bunch of bosses in Baldur's Gate 3 that you don't have to like physically fight.
I like that. Makes
But
the
I mean,
other
it's cool that
skills
you
more
roll and
relevant.
everything, but it also makes it kind of a like it's actually really easy to beat them as long as you have a like if you have inspiration and you can get a good roll. Technically, you can not fight a bunch of bosses.
Or if you've built your character, to have high
Yeah, that
charisma
too.
and all that. Yeah, I'm looking forward to getting to Act 2 with my lore bard for my second playthrough, just so I don't have to fight all these goobers.
Mm-hmm. So that's my. There's one other one that I had that was on mine, and that is in StarCraft 2. The second, I think it's the last mission that when you're on the first world, as like Umbar or something like that, and the mission's called Rendezvous, and in it, Kerrigan and James Rayner get separated, and she's like, "All right, well, I'll meet you at the," and she's like, "I'm gonna get your ship, and I'll meet you at the rendezvous point." And he's like, "I'll meet you there."
Mm-hmm.
And she gets there, and this giant mecha thing shows up, stopping her from getting to the ship, and then you have to fight it. Well, the thing about that mecha thing is it jumps up, and there are lines where it bombs across these little arrow lines. Well, all you have to do is just not cross them.
Ow.
And then Kerrigan is not in her Queen of Blades form. She's back in her ghost form, and she just can shoot. And she just shoots them. And when he
Red
calls in
area.
reinforcements, you also have there's reinforcements from your side also show up and are also helping clear out the trash. So all you really have to do is just focus on the mech, and really all you gotta do is just not be where he's shooting.
So red area bad. I think a MMORPG player once said, like, just stay out of the red zone, then you won't die, and I don't have to keep healing you guys.
Yeah. And I mean, and there's heal stations and everything, so it's not a particularly hard battle. But the thing that drops from the sky is just this giant mecha thing. It's literally one of the biggest things that you've seen at that point. Um, in the specific game is Heart of the Swarm. It's the second game in that trilogy. But yeah, he's a super easy boss. Especially when there's like, just stay out of this area. To this part. Well, if you do what they say and you just follow instructions and do the heal thing that's in the corner that you know how it works, it's a super easy fight. Even though the thing is a giant mecha suit. And that's the last thing on my list.
Okay. Mike?
Let's see. The one other thing that came to mind that I wanted to highlight, it's not it's not from a game, but it's kind of represents an archetype of the character who's full of bluster, but is secretly a pushover, or just not as strong as they're making themselves out to be. And the example that came to mind is from the Dragon Ball series, the character that in the English dub is called Hercule, and otherwise is known
Yes.
as Mr. Satan.
Mr. Satan.
That's right. Martial arts champion of the world, but that's because all the actual powerful people were out on another planet dealing with a much more serious problem. But he's still the martial arts champion of the world, and uh, he's leveraged that into all kinds of fame and fortune. And when the real heroes come back, he uses all the entire might of his charisma and bluster to keep up appearances and avoid situations where he would actually have to fight a much more powerful being and lose horribly and lose his reputation. Um, he ends up demonstrating that he's good at heart. He does have values. He's not all about uh, greed and lies and everything. But yeah, it's played for laughs, and all the actual powerful people, they realize what his game is, but they don't really push on it because to them it doesn't really matter. They just kind of let him have it.
Then you get blackmailed into like somebody else throws the fight,
Yeah.
and so that he can keep his title, but he ends up paying them lots of money. I can't remember
Yeah.
which character that was,
I
but
don't
yeah.
remember either, but yes, stuff like that. But yeah, you'll find an example of that character in all kinds of different media, video games, movies, books, all kinds of stuff. The
Oh,
braggart
God.
who's just not as good as he makes himself out to be.
Yeah, how did we not mention? Oh God, from Final Fantasy VI, is it Siegfried?
Siegfried.
Yes.
I was thinking of him the other day, and I was like, I need to add him to the list, and I didn't, because it came out because I fought the real one in the Colosseum, but
Hmm.
that's not the same one that you fight on the Phantom Train. The one in the Colosseum actually like can fight back.
Yeah,
So who's Siegfried?
he is. Well, to hear him call it, he's the greatest swordsman in the world, and yeah, he's got like something stupid like 100 HP, which at that point is nothing.
He's got a
And
really cool sprite,
he
but
does, and yeah, he says something like, "I'm the greatest swordsman in the world," and then he runs away, and then later you bump in. I think you bump into him again, and then you fight him or something like that, or he steals. I can't remember.
you bump into him on the Phantom Train in a room with a treasure chest, which you never find out what was in it. He challenges you to a fight. He loses horribly. He goes, takes the treasure chest contents anyway, and runs away.
Oh
And
yeah,
then, and then once or twice, just in towns, you might run into him when he's like, "I'll take care of these monsters, but why don't you do it first?" But then he is at the Colosseum, and he warns you. He says, "There's someone else with my name. Don't be fooled." And if you bet a certain item in the Coliseum, you'll actually fight the real one that is hands down probably the hardest enemy in the Coliseum, which of course you also have no control over your character. He is one of now 3 enemies I still have left in my bestiary because you have to fight him in the Coliseum and win. And I haven't done that yet. But the one you encounter on the Phantom Train is nothing. He attacks like 5 times in a row, and he deals 1 each, or he misses.
yeah, it's really sad.
Yeah. Not really sure what his whole deal is. I think he's just basically a joke character.
He's not really built up, other than calling himself the greatest swordsman in the world. Although I think Ultros mentions him later.
Like, hey, oh yeah, he Ultros sees the imitations of the Warring Triad. He sees the golden statues in the mountain where you're investigating the espers with
Yeah,
Strago,
in the Esper
and
Cave.
he's like, "Oh, Siegfried will, lose his crap when he finds out I've got something so shiny or something like that." And he's name dropped, but he's name dropped by another kind of joke character.
Another goofy ass character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The game does not expect you to take him seriously. It's almost like they give him a unique overworld sprite, and he has a really unique battle sprite, and you're like, who is this guy? And then for most of the game, he's just not there, and he has zero impact on the actual story. None.
Yeah.
You never do find out what was in that dang treasure chest, which, trust me, as a kid, was a big problem for me. What's in the chest? What's in the box?
I really thought, going on to something else now, I really thought, I was trying to remember the bosses in the Messenger, because the Messenger is just loaded with comedy.
Mm-hmm.
And I really thought there would be one here, but there's really not. I mean, there's Ruxton, who always has his back to you, and he's got a hooded cape and big, shoulder pauldrons, and the cape is on the floor, and then he turns around at one point when you finally go to fight him, and he's hovering like 3 feet in the air because he's only like 3 feet tall. But he's still like an actual boss fight. He doesn't one hit and out, The only thing I could think of is the closest thing to this is the final boss of the DLC, the Picnic Panic DLC, is an enemy who's been torturing you throughout the entire game and the DLC. And I think you actually fight him earlier in the DLC, Barmathazel.
Uh-huh.
And then the final boss, he merges with the Dark Messenger and becomes this great big thing. And you're like, oh, here we go. We're going to have a fight. And then it turns into Punch-Out. Which
That's right.
is so bizarre. But it's not like it's not a gimme. You still have to do the Punch-Out fight and win. It's just super not what you expected. So really, I'm just talking. There's nothing in the Messenger that matches. Which you'd think with a game like that, but no, the bosses are all honest and in some cases really freaking hard. Oh well. And I don't think there were any in Sea of Stars either. Just while I'm on the Sabotage Studios kick. But these don't have pictures, so I won't remember from the name, so never mind. Oh well. Should we wrap it up then? So
Yeah.
some of these, the bosses are easy because of comedy. Sometimes it's for story purposes. Sometimes it's for like in the case of Batman, to show off who the character is. And then there's the few that just have alternate ways to beat them that are really easy for seemingly no reason. I don't know. I don't know who to put on this thumbnail either. Oh well, we'll figure it out. I do like that Dirk had the ending of Mass Effect 3 as one of his, because that thing caused a fan backlash that crap.
Yep.
Who made Mass Effect?
You had to ask.
BioWare.
I don't
Duh.
know.
There we go.
BioWare.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And BioWare like actually caved and like patched the ending,
Mm-hmm.
which, granted, in this case, probably needed to be done, but like the fan backlash was so way out of proportion. Wait, was it a patch or was it DLC?
It was patched.
Okay, yeah. Because like there's the problem is Mass Effect was a trilogy of games where your decisions from the first game could carry over through to into 3 if you so chose.
Mm-hmm.
And the entire game is about making these decisions and like shaping your character to be your Shepard. And then at the end it just gives you a multiple choice.
Yeah, but there was also an established final boss that you fought. And that one did not have a final boss that you fought. It was a final battle you had to fight to protect this thing. And then it was, all right, well, we protected this spot so that way they could knock down the shield. All right, now run for the portal to get to the Citadel. And so really the final boss was this protect, don't let this thing fall. It was just a protection battle, like protect the MacGuffin, and that's what you
Escort
did.
mission.
Yeah, but it was not an escort, it was a protect. Sort of like escort implies you're going, something is getting from point A to point B. This was a defend
Hunker
tower
down.
defense.
Okay.
Yeah, keep this
battle.
thing from getting destroyed.
Right. And when you were
Squad
done, that was
thrust.
yeah, you were done. Which was the reason why there was a big backlash over it.
I mean, I don't think the lack of a boss fight was the cultural backlash. It was
I mean, it was full of fun battles and everything, but the lack of a final, okay, now all right, at this point forward, we'll, this and that, but it really felt like something got left at the end. And yeah, you got to make a choice, but at the same time it didn't really feel like it had we've the ending that happened is because of, I don't know. I'm just kind of spewing off at this point, but yeah, it just felt off in terms of an ending.
well, yeah. Because again, like I said, the entire series has been about shaping your Shepard the way you want your Shepard to be, and then the way the game ends, the whole series ends is here's multiple choice, pick one and shut up. Like what? What does this have?
Yeah.
So you could be like the bad Shepard, the renegade Shepard the whole way through, and then pick the good ending, or you could be the Paragon Shepard all the way through, and then pick the bad ending. And it's like, what?
Your decisions no longer matter.
Exactly.
Or they haven't mattered this whole time. Only this decision matters.
Yeah, all the rest was just busy work.
Yeah, and that pissed people off.
Gamers got pissed? No. I'm not saying it wasn't justified, but...
And then it set a dangerous precedent because, like I said, BioWare did, in fact, oh, we'll fix that. And that led gamers to be even more entitled than they already were, and things spiraled from there. Yay. Anyway. Well, this was fun. There's really not a whole lot we can draw from this though, because there's just a few reasons why they would do this. What did I say? Comedy, story reasons. That's about it. Good job,
Buffy. Buffy was comedy and story, but mostly comedy, actual size. So, yeah. And it is interesting how I feel like last time we stuck very closely to games, and this time we had a lot more representation in other media.
Yeah.
But
Oh well. We hope you enjoyed this little discussion. And by all means, if you have more examples that are in line with what we've been talking about, then throw them at us, because I know we missed some. We almost certainly missed some obvious ones just because the four of us haven't played them.
Yeah.
But how about, you know what? No, you don't get to do final thoughts. Hey, don't forget, go to patreon.com/themanapool and become a lifeguard. You can get the odds and ends, the before and after the show stuff. And if you were so inclined, the sponsorship shout out for our mythic lifeguards. Like, what order is this? Jason Kaus, Michael, Al, Casey, Kim Ho, Scuzzo, Jake Jansons, Team Uhellas Haryu. Weird. Sorry, the names are cut off, so I'm having to do this from memory. Jason Doan, ALK Alters, and Andrew Odie. I don't know why this has changed the column size. That's frustrating. But oh well. So thank you to all of our mythic lifeguards, and all of our lifeguards at every tier, and everyone who just, listens. We appreciate you. Okay, now do final thoughts, dorks.
So for my final thought, I'm gonna go in just a second. I just got a text from Carrie, but hope everybody is doing well. I also enjoyed this conversation. If you have a Disney Plus subscription and you haven't seen Hoppers yet, go check it out. Unless you're coming over to my house to watch it. And if you are coming over to my house to watch it, I hope I know who you are. This is not necessarily an open invitation, but I'm just telling these guys, hey, don't see it on your own. But
message me
otherwise,
for Brian's address.
Wait, no. So, anyway, I'm gonna go, but I've thoroughly enjoyed this conversation. Everybody have a good night, and to those of you listening, hope you have a good whatever time of day it is that you're listening. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
All right. For me, yeah, the end of the school year is almost over. We had our last regular day today, so from this point forward, it's taking final exams, and I'm looking forward to graduation next week, and then getting to have some quality time to go and do my own thing for a little bit with kids in tow, obviously. But yeah, that's my final thought. And with that, I'm also going to bounce. So I'll talk to you guys later.
All right. Night, Zerk.
Night.
So, Mike,
Mm-hmm.
am I wrong in this? I really hope that when Brian does force us to come to his house to watch this movie, I hope it sucks. So I can be like, Brian, what in the hell is wrong with you? This movie's terrible. I don't know why he's so attached to this one movie in particular, but it's kind of freaking me out.
I feel like maybe he's just trying to, I don't know. Maybe he's just feeling like oppositional or whatever because he thinks it's a really good movie, but I don't think it was advertised very much at all. Like, I feel like it wasn't. So maybe he's just like, they just can't believe they weren't willing to stand behind it when it's good or whatever. I have no idea why he's so gung-ho about it, but those are my guesses. That it's some kind of personal thing for, this is a really good movie and no one knows about it. I need to tell people.
I don't know. It weirds me out. At least this time he's trying to get us to come over, like, specifically for that reason, rather than, hey, come over and play Magic. Hey, now I'm going to force you to take an hour to watch an episode of this TV show that I like. Which is the reason to this day I've still never watched any Supernatural, even though it seems like it would be probably my kind of thing, or at least it would have been back in the day. Because Brian, in an attempt to get me to watch it, turned me against it forever. Anyway.
I remember the days when I'd be invited over for dinner, then he'd ask me to move a heavy piece of furniture.
Oh, well, yeah. He seems to have grown out of that. Now he hits you with the piece of furniture first and is like, and I'll feed you. Our friends are weird, dear listeners.
It's worth it, though.
So what? Sure. So what have you got, Mike?
I don't have any. There's nothing like. There's no milestone stuff going on in my household. Just another day at the farm, whatever you want to call it.
The Funny Farm?
It's not that funny.
Ah.
But guess we're gonna go see Weird Al tomorrow night. Weird Al will be in Greensboro at the Coliseum.
Word?
Yeah.
That's cool.
And I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I've seen him live once before. My brother and I went some years ago. And that was just a really, really great show. Just the music and the costumes and the AV stuff and everything about it was just awesome. And it was really fun and good. So I'm really looking forward to this one too.
Nice. I've heard he puts on a hell of a show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. In my experience, he does.
That's awesome. And next week, I'll be taking what sounds like 3 teenagers this time to Carowinds. So.
Wow. That's a tall order.
Yeah, not entirely sure how I feel about this, but I guess we'll find out. So yeah, if we
Maybe
don't do a
that's a
show
big
next
enough
week,
group of
it's because I'm
them.
dead.
Oh yeah. Maybe that's enough of them that they'll maybe help keep each other in line. I don't know.
I don't know. But, I mean, I have the keys, so I can just threaten to leave them there.
Yeah.
I'm crazy.
Yeah.
I'll do it.
Not cut the trip short and take them home. Just leave them there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, y'all want to run around and be crazy without me? All right, then. See how you do without a ride home.
Yeah. I'm going to cook out. Call me when you've wised up.
Good Lord. Well, as for me, most of the purple is gone from my beard now, Mike. It's very sad.
Dang.
Yeah, that semi-permanent shouldn't even be called that.
They're leaning pretty hard on the semi.
If you know what I mean. Sorry.
And sorry. I think you do.
Ladies. Oh. Oh, that was terrible. All right then. Well, you know what? I got nothing. Come to the streams. Stream on at night on Twitch. Hopefully, tomorrow night, Friday. So, by the time you're hearing this, it won't matter anymore. But hopefully tomorrow night I'll pick up Psychonauts again. Because I've either been not streaming. Like, I didn't stream last night because I went to visit the parents because they needed tech support.
Mm-hmm.
Turns out mom has mild sleep or moderate sleep apnea and got a CPAP machine and couldn't make it work and was going to just pack it all up, take it back to the whatever office and sit there until they taught her how to work it. And I was like, you want me to come take a look at it? And she's like, sure. Well, first, actually, she was like, no, it's okay. You don't have to do that. And then like an hour later, she's like, I mean, you could if you wanted to, though.
Did she start attempting to pack it up and was like,
No, they're tiny little things now. It's
oh, okay.
when I got there, I was expecting not this little box. I was like, oh, this is cute.
Oh, neat.
And yeah, after the error message, you hit OK and it gave you a QR code. And mom's like, hit OK again. I'm like, well, no, there's a thing here. And I scanned it and it was a little video that was just basic as hell. That was like, just check everything. So every time it would mention a thing, I'd pull it out and look at it and put it back in. And when we started it up again, it wasn't making a horrible loud noise and it kept working. Mom was like, is it on? I was like, yeah. She's like, but it's so quiet. I'm like, yeah, because it's not leaking anymore. What?
Nice.
She's like, you're so good. I'm like, I didn't do anything. Took it all apart, looked at it, and put it back. And apparently that's all we needed to do. You probably could have just taken it. Because mom, instead of taking everything apart and putting it back together. And when I say take it apart, I mean pull it out, look at it, put it back in. Like not disassemble the whole thing. Mom was just like pushing everything in, which apparently wasn't the issue. I'm thinking that the piece at the end with the water in it for the humidifier side of things just wasn't connected properly on the inside.
Yeah.
So when I pulled it out and went, it doesn't look broken or anything, and pushed it back in, I guess I reconnected it right. So, yeah, that's why I didn't stream last night, because I am tech support in all things, whether I have experience in it or not.
I think there was an old XKCD comic where either the comic itself or the alt text was that half of tech support is just opening up menus and seeing what the options are.
Yeah. Mom is forever like, hey, show me how to do this on my phone or in the car. And she's like, do I just push this? And I'm like, yeah. That's all you do. You just push that. She's like, oh, okay. I'm like, well, if you knew that, why did you need me? She said, well, I didn't know. I'm like, oh my God.
Did you try?
See,
I'm gonna throw one of those back at you. I heard it enough growing up. Did you try?
Mom is perpetually terrified she's going to, quote, screw something up to the point that it's salvageable.
Uh-huh.
Like when I was a kid, and I mean like a kid, I was the one programming the VCR to record at a certain time.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like 6 or 7 and I'm the one programming the VCR to record whatever show because mom was afraid she'd mess it up. So this is not new, but now tech is so much higher, she's even more afraid she's going to mess something up. So even though she knows how to do it, she's convinced herself she doesn't know how to do it. And why are we having this conversation on the show? This is an odds and ends conversation. I just realized we're still doing the show proper. If you wanted a taste of what the odds and ends sounds like, there you go.
Yeah.
Oh my God. So quick, let's stop this before anything else happens. So this has been episode 754 of the Mana Pool. Thank you all so very much for joining us, and I am probably a big scary boss that you could beat in one hit, and if I'm not, Mike definitely is.
Yeah.